Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here, and it's that time. It's 11:30 on Tuesday, at least Eastern time. For some of you on the West, it's probably or even in the middle of the country. It's definitely a little bit earlier. But let's jump right into the conversation today. As you can see, I am going to be talking about pay-per-click, PPC. So I'm gonna share with you the truth about PPC. But of course, I'm fully aware that there's probably a lot of people believe that when they speak, they're speaking the truth. So I would just say this is my truth about PPC, and I've been doing in advertising and buying Google Ads through the PPC format or process for many years. And so I'm going to kind of talk about that. And then I get a lot of questions all the time. Again, remember, I just do these calls and support Real Geeks, but I don't get paid off of, like, if you sign up for a Real Geeks website, I'm not getting paid off of that. If you sign up for Real Leads program, their PPC program, I don't get paid for anything like that. So, but what I do is I kind of report to you the information that I know as a user and try to give you the best advice and answer questions that I'm hearing all the time regarding either Real Geeks or different aspects about Real Geeks. Some of you have seen the video that I did about generating seller leads. And I know there was a lot of participation, a lot of comments, a lot of good things came out of that particular call. And those are just things that that I'm going to continue to share, every week here within the mastermind group. So, but today is going to be, is Real Leads worth it? And then sharing with you the truth, my truth about PPC. And I'm going to talk with you about why some people succeed and some common things that I see in people that are failing. Because what's really interesting, in every single advertising platform, whether it be social media, sellers off social media, whether it be Real Leads, PPC program, whether it be somebody else's PPC program, whether it be Zillow, Realtor.com, on every platform, you will notice there are people that say, this is working great for me. And there's people that say, this is terrible. It's a scam. So I've always thought, it's like, okay, how can both things be true? How could it be true that one person says this platform works fantastic and one person says this platform is terrible? And what I reduced it to, the conclusion that I came up with is, it's the way the platforms are being worked that determine one's experience of the platform. So we'll talk more about that. But if somebody's buying leads and they're making an attempt to reach their lead one time or two times in the next 24 hours, they're going to have a totally different experience than somebody who's buying leads and that person is making 5 attempts in the first 24 hours. Totally different experience. Versus the person that's buying leads and has the leads set up on an autoresponder, not making any direct call attempts, but setting up the autoresponder and chat and AI and waiting for the lead to kind of interact. And then once they interact in a positive way, then that's when you reach out. That person's going to have a totally different experience or get a totally different return on their PPC. I'm not making any of those strategies wrong, but those 3 strategies are three of the major differences in real estate agent strategies. I either see somebody that's like, doesn't use the AI, doesn't use the chat, doesn't use autoresponder, calls, text, calls. I see some people call, wait for people to return a call. And then I see people don't call, let the autoresponder and chat take over. And in every one of those scenarios, I see different results. So some people that don't call at all and use autoresponders, some of them are like, man, I never get anything. But then somebody that doesn't use autoresponders and calls, text, calls is like, I'm crushing it. The same platform, different results. This is what I mean by the truth of PPC. The truth of PPC is the wrong question we should ask is, does the platform work? The question we should be asking is, what process should I be working no matter what the platform is? So is real leads worth it? First of all, answer the question of what is real leads? Again, it's I'm not real leads. I don't make money if you do real leads, but real leads is an advertising platform, basically advertising through the process of what is also known as pay-per-click, whether it's on Google and some social media, where you end up giving them a budget and they generate leads. And those leads get routed directly into your Real Geeks website. And then you get a notification when you get a new lead and you start working it. It's also called pay-per-click, but Real Leads is the company that is a product of Real Geeks that does this for you. What is PPC? PPC is the process, is basically stands for pay per click. And it's the process of having pay-per-click advertising in Google or some channels. And the pay per click means you pay per click. So you give an advertising budget of $1,000 a month, and then you'll get certain amount of leads. And you can pretty much figure out what is your cost per lead or cost per click. It's called pay per click. You pay every time somebody clicks. And a certain amount of clicks generates a lead that signs up on your website. So you kind of have an idea of what is the cost per click, which is just going to be a very small cost. And then you can figure out what is your cost per lead, which might be anywhere from $12 to $15. Could be a little bit more depending on what terms you're going after. But it's the process. Pay-per-click is a form of advertising on Google and some social media channels. And Real Leads is the company, is Real Geeks, is a Real Geeks product where they manage it for you. Now, full disclosure, just so you know where I stand in this, I do use Real Leads. I am not I do not sell Real Leads, but I am a user. So I let you know that I am a user. So when I'm talking to you, I have experience with them. I also, full disclosure, do some PPC in-house. Not all of my leads come from PPC. Not all of my PPC leads come from Real Leads. I just want to be completely transparent. I use Real Leads and have a wonderful experience with them. And I also have my own staff doing some PPC because we've been doing it for many, many years. But I decided to not only use my staff, also allow Real Geeks to do it because everybody does it slightly different. So I believe I'm picking up different leads from both situations. And ultimately, that's creating a better situation for me. So there's my disclosure so you know where I stand on this. Again, like everything else that I speak to you on these Tuesday calls, I'm coming to you with experience. I am not coming to you with my theory and my thoughts of what's possibly going to happen if you do things. I know exactly what's going to happen because I'm experiencing them. I'm a user. I'm a Real Geeks user of these products. So does Real Leads, does PPC work? Yes. Is everyone successful at it? No. What about Real Leads? Does Real Leads work? Yes. Is it working for everybody? No. Well, what about PPC? Is there other companies that can do it? Yes. Is it working? Yes. Is it working? Is everyone successful? No. And here's my conclusion. PPC works well. The question, as I said a moment ago, is what is your process for working the leads? That's the only thing that's going to determine the ROI, the success of PPC advertising. So I want to move into why do people fail, some of the characteristics of people who are failing at it. And then, of course, this is not intended to be negative. I want to share with you, hey, look, what are the characteristics of people that are successful at this, that it's actually working for them? I want to share that also. Of course, most of you know that I do have a coaching program called Real Geeks Mastery. And a lot of you have joined Real Geeks Mastery and have stuck with us for many months, for a long time, for a few years. And what I do in Real Geeks Mastery is I actually share with people how, like on the subject of PPC, I'll share with you best practice. So if you get involved with pay-per-click, then I can share with you how to actually convert these people. Like, when should you call? How often you should call? How do you set up workflows? How do you set up advanced search filters to optimize the advertising budget? Those are the types of things that we're going to talk about in Real Geeks Mastery Coaching. So just reach out to me if you have any questions on that, or you can go to rgmmastery.com. You can go to that and get more information. So why do people fail? What are people doing that's not working? Whether it's real leads or whether it's just PPC on your own, whatever you do. I don't recommend you do it on your own if you're not a tech person or an advertising person. I have staff, but I have large staff. They're very experienced, so I can get away with it. But I would not do it as a real estate agent, and I don't do it personally. People that are not getting the results that they're looking for, those people, they're responding to the leads too late. They're taking way too long to respond to the leads. Okay. Buyer leads is different than a seller lead. A seller lead is kind of looking for, like, they're not in a rush to like talk to you in the next 5 minutes. That's not a seller lead. They don't have the deadline. Like, a buyer lead is fearful. A buyer lead is looking for properties. They're getting alerts all the time from different websites. And all of a sudden they pick up their phone and they see there was a new listing to hit the market. And all of a sudden they're like, I got to talk to an agent. I need to see this one. This one seems to be a good one. I need to go see this one before somebody else buys it, because they know that good inventory doesn't stay on the market long. So when the lead is clicking, they're clicking with a sense of urgency. And where we fail as an industry is we don't respond with the same sense of urgency. Our urgency in response doesn't match their urgency in reaching out to us. We respond too late, too lackadaisical, too much time goes by. And what they end up doing, if we don't respond in 5 minutes, they're already clicking on a different agent and clicking on a different agent. They are going to keep clicking on additional agent websites and lead portals until they get somebody to reach them. When somebody calls them and they have a conversation, that's when they will stop or lessen how many signups, how many different websites they sign up for. So they're just going to sign up, sign up, sign up. I'm talking to them. Okay, now I can be chill. I've got an appointment to go see the property tomorrow. I don't need to keep signing up. That's what's going on here. And so where agents are responding too late to the lead. So when you hear speed to lead, what I want to do is I want to put some context. I want to speed to lead. Like, why is speed to lead? Is that just somebody telling us speed to lead, you got to be faster, but there's no real concept. There's no real conversations behind it. There's no essence to that statement. No. There is significant reasons why speed to lead is important. Speed is urgency. So the faster we are, the more urgent we are at responding to the leads, knowing that they're urgently trying to learn about that property because they fear it could already be sold. We've got to meet the buyer where they are. If we're too slow, they've moved on. So number one is we respond too late. The other things is we make too few attempts to reach the lead if the lead's non-responsive. See, what happens is we get a lead, we respond a little bit late, like 20 minutes later. And then when we call them, we don't get them on the phone. Well, number one, it's because they don't recognize our phone number. Number two, it's because they're probably doing something else at that moment. You're not the only call that they're not able to take at that moment. We're catching them off guard. We leave a message and then we wait for them to call back. The challenge is we were too late to call them the first time, so they called other real estate agents, and other real estate agents are calling them. So what you're going to have to do, if you don't get them on your first attempt, you're going to have to make multiple attempts to reach them. Failing to make multiple attempts early in the process of capturing a lead is causing agents to fail at working PPC. The next one here is they fail to set the appointment too early in the or early enough in the process. I've said this over and over again. Buyers think they have enough information. They're not calling you for information. They're calling you for access. So give them what they're calling for, which is access. In the first sentence, give them access. Hey, I'm just kind of curious. Are you hoping to take a look at this property this afternoon or maybe sometime tomorrow? If they don't want access, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to look at it yet. I was just wondering. And they may ask you other questions. They'll tell you if they don't want access, but offer access in the beginning, right from the get-go. And if you give them what they want, they'll give you what they want or what you want. So give them access. You give to them first. Then they will reciprocate by giving you what you want, which is answering your questions about what they're looking for, about their qualifications. If we try to get what we want before we give them what they want, they just kind of like freeze and they get short with us and they give us smoke screen. Well, I'm not that interested. You got to give before you ask. It's the give before the ask. People are asking before they're giving access, and it's causing them to not get the returns that they could be getting off of PPC. Now let's turn the table to, well, okay, Greg, well, what are some things that they're doing to be successful that's causing success? PPC is easier than we think. Getting a return, an ROI. So when I say getting an ROI, making money off of real leads, PPC is much easier than most agents make it. And there's some simple rules. It's kind of like do the opposite of what people are doing that's failing, and you will be successful. So what is the opposite? Number one, you got to be lightning fast on those leads. And personally, I get a lot of seller leads to me, whether it comes from my databases, maybe we're generating them through using the seller valuation tool. Maybe we are attached to some referral companies that are giving us, listing leads. Let me just share with you that when I get a lead, it personally goes to my email. And I have a default, like people know that if I don't respond to that lead really, really fast, my assistant is jumping on that lead and calling them. It's like first come. It's like if she doesn't see that I reached out to that lead, she is reaching out to that lead immediately and calling them and let them know, hey, we got your information. Greg's on another call. He's going to call you back. Like it's right then. If she knows that I'm on another call, we are not going to let this lead sit there. We are going to be lightning quick to call that lead, because once we call that lead, they stop calling other agents. Even if it's not me that's able to call it, we got to make sure that they understand that we know that they exist and we are here to serve them. And look, if she goes on vacation, I have a backup, somebody else who is going to make sure that we are lightning fast on receiving these leads. In other words, it's me, it's her, and then it's two more people. I'm 4 deep to make sure that none of these leads go too long without being responded to. And responded to means talking to them, not an autoresponder. The second thing I have is when someone doesn't answer, we're calling again and again and texting and again. Now, I know I get this all the time. When I make this comment, there's always people out there that says, yeah, but Greg, I wouldn't want anyone to do that to me. I'm not going to do that to anybody. I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me. But you got to understand, you got to put this in context. You're not a buyer right now. So when you tell me that you wouldn't like anyone to do it to you, be honest with you, if I wasn't in the market to buy a property, I wouldn't want anyone to do it to me either. We're coming from the place when we're making that comment, we're coming from the place that we're not a buyer. versus coming from the place that we are a buyer urgently trying to see a property. So real buyers have no problem with you responding multiple times to their request. Now, a non-buyer would have a big problem with you trying to reach them so many times. But these are buyers, so they have no problem with it. And Faye, I just saw your comment, Faye Rouge. I hope I said that correctly. Faye, right before I started the recording, I realized I messed up. I prepared for next week's conversation for today. And next week's conversation, I will do what I was supposed to do, which you're right, is generate leads for free. So Faye, that is all Greg Harrelson's fault. It's not Real Geek's fault. It's all my fault. I accept full responsibility. I apologize for that confusion. I sure pray and hope that this has some value to you also. But next week, I will be talking about learning how to generate leads for free. And as you can see, I was going to talk about free leads first, and then I was going to talk about pay per click, which is paid leads. I'm kind of going in reverse, talking about paid leads, then we'll go to free leads. So apologize for anyone else that noticed that. Faye, thank you for bringing that to the attention. And I just want to acknowledge that I am aware that I screwed that up. Guilty. All right. So let's keep going though. Let's keep going. When it comes to success, okay? The successful agents default to, if a lead is seeing the property, the pictures, the description, they're looking at the walkability score, they're looking at the school systems, they're doing all this research on the internet, and they are clicking a button, say, I want to talk to an agent. Then we make the assumption that they're not calling to learn more about the property, that they're calling to gain access to the property. So I said a script before. The first sentence, when I pick up the phone and I call one of these leads, I'm going to say, hey, I got your information that you called regarding a property over on XYZ street. You know, I'm sure you may have some questions. But before I get to answering questions, I just wanted to make sure, would you like to look at that property this afternoon, or would sometime tomorrow be better, more convenient? The successful workers of these leads, that's how they're starting off the first call. It's called appointment. Access. They're setting the first intention, the call in the beginning, the first intention is to ask them and give them opportunity to look at the property. When we do that, we set way more appointments. And even when we don't set an appointment, we build way more rapport because we're volunteering to give them access. They appreciate it. These are little techniques that we're using with this pay-per-click leads that's helping us convert and have a great ROI. Because look, there is no reason to be buying leads unless you're getting a return. Just like you don't buy real estate unless it's providing some sort of revenue above your expense. It's called a rate of return, an ROI, return on your investment. I look at my leads being like real estate. I expect a return. Just about all the lead sources will work if you'll follow the simple rules. Stop doing, if you're doing, avoid the things that people are doing that are failing to get a return, and adopt the things that people are doing to get a return. Now, I could go in and I could talk to you about advanced search filters and workflows and autoresponders and text templates. But those are advanced techniques. We need to do these initial things right. Then we can talk about all the other things that we can be doing to further enhance our returns. But I see a lot of people start working on what's the best workflow, what's the best text template, what's the best advanced search filter. But even though they have the best things set up, the best autoresponder, they're still responding too late to the lead. They're making too few attempts, and they're not setting an appointment in the first sentence of the call. Those that respond fast, make multiple attempts, and offer the appointment outperform and outproduce those that have all the technology set up great. What we really want to do is a combination of both. You set up your technology right, but you also follow the successful process. It's not one or the other, it's both. Unfortunately, most people don't do what I'm sharing. They spend all their time figuring out how the technology can do the work, almost dehumanizing the transaction. We need to humanize the transaction by inserting ourselves back into the process. This will do wonders for those that are thinking about real leads or pay-per-click in general. So I hope that information is helpful. Just remember, look, again, like I said a moment ago, I do have a program called the Real Geeks Mastery. And in that program, of course, I'm coaching. I'm coaching you all to do all the things that we do in our business, in my office, which I've been a user of Real Geeks for many, many years. I don't know if it's 15 years, 12 years, how long it's been. I have 10 Real Geeks websites right now. So I have, 300 users in my Real Geeks websites. I have 400,000 people in my Real Geeks website. So we have a big sampling when it comes to database and users that I can test things on. And then within our coaching program, I then turn around and share with you the best practices. It's just something that I can't go that deep on these calls. These calls are shorter and they're just different subjects, so we can touch on a broader range of conversations. But within RG Mastery or Real Geeks Mastery, I go a lot deeper. So if you're interested, if there's no contracts, it's pretty inexpensive. Just go to rgmastery.com and check it out. And yes, I promise you, I will be here next week and we'll talk about the process of generating free leads off of your Real Geeks website. Bye, everybody. You all have a wonderful day.